Hi, welcome to the Shelley Studio. Today is part one of what I decided is a two-part series of using up some, because I definitely didn't get all of them, but using up those scraps from my 100-day project. I kind of collected them in this tub and want to create something. So a month or so ago, I saw a video by Kylie Koo where she made a masterboard but made it into a book. So yes, this is going to be a little book, a little art book, just for fun. I don't know what she used as a base. It looked like it might be newsprint or something. And I had this thin packaging paper just laying around because I saved that stuff. And figured I would create my masterboard. I would consider it more like Frankenpaper. But I figured I would glue all my scraps on here, and I fully intended to keep similar color styles together. When I do this kind of thing, I tend to just grab and lay it down and see what happens. But I tried, and I think it just went out of control at some point. But I think it all works. It was really fun to do. It's actually quite relaxing to just sit there and glue down scraps of paper. I have used so much matte medium on this project and in the past couple of months that I've got to go out and buy me another jar. But yeah. So you can see, I think that's where it finally, the brown ended up over there. Instead of over by the brown. But then I start putting pieces that are going to fit in, like, the gaps that are created. I do have this way sped up, so hopefully this part's not too tedious. I don't have you watch me collage the whole thing, because I do the whole thing front and back. I'm just trying to find some little pieces to fit in the small gaps that are left. And look at all that collage paper I have left. Of course, I think this is the front side. So I do the whole back side, as I said. But I don't think I even recorded that part. That's got to sit and dry, and then the back side will get done. So here we are. Now they're both done and dry. Miracle of editing. So Kylie Koo added some color to hers to try and make it all sort of look, I want to say homogeneous. I know that's not the right. Looks like it all goes together. So I thought I'd give it a try. And I've got a paper towel under me to try and catch the drips. I blot a little because I like my papers. I want them to show. But I did it anyway. Be brave. It's scraps, right? So be brave. And then I do the same thing on this side. And I had set the other side on that paper towel. So it just lifted everything off the back side. So I end up doing the other side twice. Here I'm doing a little bit less than I did on the other one. I felt like the other one had too much. Those brown spots are not very liquidy. They're a little solid. See, that side doesn't look like it has anything on there. Right, another thing she did was brayer on some white paint. So I decided to do that too. And, you know, you start out going, oh, I don't want to cover it. And then I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, does it look like it all belongs together now? I'm not sure. This side is sure bright in comparison. Well, it's going to get dull here in a minute. I watch me do this and I'm like, stop, 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 stop. Okay, we're stopped. All right, so now that that is done and it's dry, well, it's not 100% dry, but it's pretty dry. I want to get started on the next step, which is folding it and tearing it. I'm actually going to tear this big thick thing. It was tough, but I got through it. And then I'm going to tear that into thirds. So I'm just using my ruler to mark. Trying to get my line straight. Now I got a straight line. I got to use the ruler because it's easier to tear against. And the scrap piece of paper that I used was not square, so I had a few scraps left over. So here are all my pieces. Tried to make sure they were fairly even. And then we're just going to turn them into 2 signatures and bind them into a little artist book. And I know they're thick so the ends of the center pieces poke out, but this is kind of a scrappy little thing and I thought that would look okay. And I decided to bind it with a stick. It would go with the whole nature idea, right? So yeah, that's a pair of, I don't even know what those are for, but they're not for pruning trees or snipping branches. I think they're for cutting metal or something. I'm sure they're pretty dull because I've had them in my craft room forever and they've chopped a lot of branches. So each signature is going to get attached to a twig and then they'll get attached together. And I'm just doing a pamphlet stitch, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I am so not very good at this. I've made a few of these books, but I'm not very good at it, so I have a hard time staying on screen. I'm really sorry. If you want a good tutorial on a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, just put it in the search box on YouTube and you'll find a lot of them. This is not the tutorial for that. Alright, so now I'm going back through the same hole because I want to secure the twig. So I've got to get the string at the right spot. Okay. So I've got it in there, lined up where I want it. I decided just to quickly tie it off. If you think about it, though, it's all in the same hole, so that could pull out. But that's just for me to make sure, because it was wiggling so much. It was driving me crazy. So I go to the bottom side, around the twig, and back out. And then up to the top. Nope. Am I going back in that hole? Apparently, I didn't think it was secure enough, so I'm going back in the center hole. Which with a pamphlet stitch, well, this one is a little bit different because you're going out and around and back in, out and around and back in. So, yeah, it's a little different. Just have to make sure everything's tight. And then going down to the other end, and I went out and around and back in. Now I'm just wrapping that around the strings that are already in there and then tying a knot. I think the other one goes a little bit more smoothly. I think it's I think I show it. I think I recorded it. So we'll do the other one. Maybe you'll be able to see it better. Or maybe I'll go completely off the camera, which is entirely possible. I do about a little bit more than 3 lengths of the book. Not sure if it's really needed, but better safe than sorry. Okay, so I'm going up and down in the same hole, if I can get it through there. And then we're going to stick the stick in there and center it, and then pull that tight. This time, I just go to the next hole. Instead of tying it off, I just go to the next hole, out, around the stick, and back down. Okay. And then I do the center one twice. I don't think it needs twice, but I did do it. Maybe just to not have a long loop across. I don't know. I have no idea. Alright, so up to the other end, out around the stick and back in, and down. And then I do just go through those other strings on the other side just to hold it there, and then tie the knot. Yeah, that one was a little bit better. Maybe it was easier to tell what I was doing. And I just trim them, and that is wax coated thread. It's made for bookbinding. So now I have my 2 little things on sticks, and I'm like, well, how am I going to put them together? So I have fabric that I had used in my 100-day project. So I decided I would incorporate that. And I'm actually cutting a strip, so I want that solid goldish sort of one. And let's see, I cut that in half, I think. Like right on the pattern. Just set that other aside. So, I don't know if you've seen Nick the Booksmith or anybody's technique on making your own book cloth. And I have another project that blue was going on, so I figured I'd do them all at the same time. So you use like heat and bond or any kind of fabric fusing material, and you iron the heat and bond on there, and then you iron tissue paper. So I have parchment there. That's to, heat proof because I'm going to iron it. And I've got my little gold pieces there. And I wasn't sure what the heat would do to the shine, but it's fine. And then I'm also doing that other piece of fabric, which will be used on another project. So now what we do is we peel off the backing for the heat and bond. I do have tissue on the other side of this because I didn't want the parchment underneath to get fused. So, alright, so we're going to peel this one off. That corner wasn't coming up the way it's supposed to, so we'll go over to this side. And it's got a little bit there too, sticking out, so I put the heat and bond cover under there. Alright, so now parchment down and iron it again. And I don't remember how long you're supposed to do it for. I know I have done it till the heat and bond melted completely away. There was no stickum. I think it was a different brand than this one. My tissue's a little wrinkled, but it'll work. It'll be fine. So now I'm just going to trim these up and separate them because they were kind of squished together there. So now I have some fairly stable material to use as, what do you call these? Hinges? Tabs? I don't know. Anyway, they are going to go around the two signatures and get glued to the signatures and hold the book together. So I'm getting them lined up on the front, right where I want them, and then I will glue them down. Probably put way too much glue on there. When it squirts out the sides, there's too much. Alright, so I want to make sure these were secured snugly, so I've put my little clips on there. Determine the length, and then we're going to glue those down. Yep, got a little bit of extra glue there. That one's going to be mushy too, I can tell. I'm using it to wipe the glue that's... My glitter glue is almost empty, so when I use it, glue just keeps coming out the tip. Like, I don't know, it's like a pressure thing. Anyways, I was wiping the sides off when I did that. So here it is all together. I will decorate it a little bit in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed my little book. Thank you all for watching. Have an awesome day.